And in my opinion, every open house should be a mega open house, right? And a lot of these steps, or some of these steps that we're going to go over, are things that maybe for the experienced agents that have held an open house in the past, these might be things that you've already done in the past. This could be something that, that just seems like common sense or simple to you, but, just stick with us, follow along. And I promise you that there's going to be something in here that you didn't think about to do in an open house. What's the purpose? Let's start with the why. So we're going to go through the why, the where, the when, the who, and the how of an open house. And more importantly, all of these factors for a mega open house. So what's the purpose of an open house, right? Why are we actually going to be hosting this open house? I know we all go to a listing presentation. We talk to the owner of the property. We ask them certain things, and one of the things is, can I host an open house at your home? And if so, when can I do it? Right? Are you hosting that open house to sell the property? Is it really to, is the goal to attract the one buyer that comes into this property to that actually loves this property and buys it from you? Well, yes, that is a goal, but it shouldn't be your primary goal in an open house. Why? Because the odds of you attracting that one buyer that's going to love this house so much, especially in this market, are pretty low. This goes back to the 20%. This really goes back to our lead generation. Remember, we're not doing things in our business that don't take a, that do not, or we're not focusing on things in our business that don't fall into that 20% of those activities that are going to lead to 80% of your results. So number one thing that you're doing in your business every single day is lead generation, right? What is lead generation? Well, it's generating leads. It's bringing, new buyers and meeting new sellers. It's making new contacts every single day. When you're hosting an open house, that's your number one goal. Your number one goal is to meet buyers and sellers that are either active in this market now or going to be active in this market. So we want to meet the neighbors. We want to meet people that, are driving by and see the sign. Really anybody that is looking to buy a home and may not have an agent, or maybe they have an agent that just isn't doing a good job for them and they're looking for a new agent. These are the people that we want to meet. Your secondary goal is to sell this house, right? We hope we sell this house. Obviously, we want to sell this house. You don't take a listing to market a home that you believe will never sell. That's not good use of your time or your money. But the number one goal in an open house is to reach and contact as many buyers and as many potential sellers that you possibly can during this open house. It's very important that you understand this before you start going down this road. Everything starts with your why. No matter what your goal, there has to be a reason why you're doing it. And the reason why you're doing an open house, or more importantly, a mega open house, is to generate leads. You need to get leads, right? Second reason, sell the house. So now that we know the why, let's talk about the plan and get into the where, the when, and whatnot, right? Because like the slide says, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. When you do an open house, do you have a plan? Do you, and what is your plan? Do you have a deadline? Do you have timelines that you're following along with? Do you know who you're calling, by when, and what's going to happen? Or do you just say, okay, I'm going to do an open house on November 18th. I'll put some signs in the yard, and I hope people show up. If in the past you've done an open house where only one or two people have shown up, it's probably because you didn't have an effective plan. I've done it, especially when I didn't really understand the value of having a timeline. I've definitely done open houses where nobody's shown up, right? That's like terrible use of your time. The last thing you want to do on a Saturday afternoon is set an open house by yourself, right? You just hope you brought some food. So what's the first part of the plan? Well, the first part of the plan is your where and your when. You need to know number one, which house am I going to be holding open, right? Maybe it's your listing, right? Maybe you just took a great listing and you're, a $600,000, $700,000 house, and you want to meet some $600,000, $700,000 buyers, or you want to list another $600,000 or $700,000 house in the neighborhood, right? But maybe you don't have that listing, but you want to do a listing like that. You should, right? The nicer the neighborhood, the higher the price, the better quality, or not the better quality, but the more desirable these types of customer will be, right? If you're doing an open house in a neighborhood of, $350,000 homes, you're going to get a different type of customer than if you're doing an open house in a neighborhood of $850,000 homes. So your where is very important. You need to know where you're going to do it. It doesn't need to be your lead, it doesn't need to be your listing. You could find a listing that's in the office. Maybe there's no listing in the office in a neighborhood you're working on, right? Or maybe you've decided that you're going to farm a certain neighborhood and you want to do an open house in that neighborhood. You could call an agent that has a listing in the neighborhood that you want to work in. Not all of them, and it could be in a different brokerage. There's no rules on where you would find this open house. Maybe it's a for sale by owner. If you're working with for sale by owners, maybe you offer to do an open house for them. Number one, you're going to deliver value by doing an open house for them. But number two, maybe this is a neighborhood that you want to work in, where you want to find more buyers and where you want to meet more buyers and sellers in that neighborhood, right? So look around, think about it. Do you have the listing? Does an agent in our office have the listing? Does an agent at another office, at another brokerage in a neighborhood that you want to be have the listing? Does a for sale by owner have the listing? Does an expired lead that doesn't necessarily want to list yet have the listing? You can do the open house doesn't need to be your own listing. So be creative. Think about where you want to do this open house at. You have to be creative when you're thinking about this, because if you don't have a good listing, you might not want to do an open house in that neighborhood. Maybe you do. Maybe you told the seller that you would. In that case, you have to do it, right? Because you do what you say you're going to do, right? The next important thing is when. How much time do you need to prepare for this? Well, the plan that we're about to outline, as you can see below, is 3 weeks. So from the time that you find this property, that you know which one you're going to do, you need to allow yourself 3 weeks of preparation time. If you don't give yourself the 3 weeks, you're probably going to be overwhelmed, because if it's a mega open house, there's a lot to do, right? There's a lot of preparation. And if you have other things to do besides just plan for this open house, then you're going to want to give yourself enough time to do it. The goal is not to stress yourself out. The goal, as I said, is to get leads, to find buyers that are actively in the market and sellers that want to be in the market. That's the goal, not to stress yourself out, not to condense this thing down, to give yourself enough time to flawlessly execute the plan that we're about to lay before you, right? The where and the when. So now that you have your where and your when, you found the house, you know when you're going to do it. What's your first step? The who. Who are you going to invite to do this open house with you? Are you going to do this open house alone? Is it going to be just you sitting there? Are you going to do all the work by yourself? You could, but I don't know why you would. You should invite at least one other agent partner. Number one, for safety, right? You need to have somebody else there for safety. If you've been in the industry long enough, you know that there's a lot of people out there that show up to open houses, that call about listings, that look at properties that may not have the best of intent. More than once, I've heard a story of, creepy people walking into an open house, and there's an agent sitting there all by themselves, right? And they give you those creep vibes. One story I heard, she said she had her hand on her pepper spray. Luckily, another agent walked in at the same time, sensed that something was going on, and stayed with her the rest of the open house. That person eventually left. But what would happen if they wouldn't have invited that agent partner, or if that agent hadn't shown up, right? Who knows? We've heard about it. We've read about it in the news. So number one is safety. You need to have somebody there with you. An agent partner, somebody else in the office. That would be probably the best thing, right? And who knows? Maybe you guys hit it off and you start a small team. I don't know, right? A vendor partner, somebody to offset some of these costs, some of these things, right? What is the vendor partner going to do? Maybe they can bring a platter, right? They can advertise this to their sphere, to their people. Both of these people, you're going to divide up your workload in the plan that we're about to set forth for you to take some of the effort off of you and spread it out more equitably, right? So now that we have the who, now we have the what, right? What is the what, right? These are the things I was just talking about. Your agent partner, your vendor partner, whoever it is, what are they going to bring? What do you have that can attract other people to this open house, right? Meals, refreshment, come for a lunch. Maybe you have a Publix platter. I've seen them catered. I've seen sushi platters laid out, right? I've seen some really amazing things. Well, you don't necessarily want to pay for all this. Bring your branded items, because don't you want the people to stop by, that the people that stop by to leave with your information? Don't forget your business cards, flyers. Is it going to be so big that maybe you could have a giveaway or a raffle, right? These are things that you need to think about, because all of this is part of your planning. Before you've invited a single soul, you need to know your where, your when, your who, and your what. This is all done 3 weeks before. You're going to sit down. This is your planning phase, right? That's your first P, it's plan. Your second P. So once you have all of these things figured out, now it's time to prepare, right? What are we talking about when we say prepare? Well, this is where your planning hits the road, right? A little bit. So prepare, you have 2 weeks before. So you're through week one, got all your planning done, you've invited all your people, you figured out who's bringing what, you know what date you're going to do it, you know the address, you know all of these details, these very important details for this mega open house, right? Once you know all of these, now you need to prepare. So what are you preparing? Well, you're preparing to contact people. You're preparing to reach out to people. Get your geographic leads. We have it in the office. We can pull, we can pull geographic leads for you. What's a geographic lead? Well, it's like that little bullseye on the image there, right? Your home is in the middle where you're doing the open house, and you're going to create a radius or a box or a square or a polygon, whatever it is, whatever area that it is, you want to pull these leads. You want to get people that own homes within a certain mile, within a certain intersection, within a certain whatever it is of the home that you're doing the open house. Why? Why do you need geographic leads? Because you want to advertise to the neighbors. But why do you care if the neighbors show up? They're not going to buy the house. They live in the neighborhood. Well, maybe they're going to sell a house. By inviting the neighbors, right? The looky-loos, the ones who come over that just want to see what their neighbor's house looks like, maybe you can build a relationship for them or with them. By building that relationship, maybe you can keep in touch with them. And maybe at some point, the next, 6 months, 1 year, 18 months, who knows, they're going to be ready to sell. It's happened to me. It's definitely happened to me. I've gotten the home that I've held the open house plus 2 other listings in the same neighborhood because I kept in touch with them over about 2.5 years, right? But it's always one more sale, right? You always need to do just one more deal. So get your geographic leads so that you can invite the neighbors, right? And then prepare your email campaign, because when you pull your geographic leads, you should be able to grab the emails as well, right? So, and what are you going to say in the email? Well, you want the who, the what, the when, the where. You want all those details to go into your email campaign. This takes time to build, right? So get that ready. You're going to build that out. So that's your contact preparation. Now we're going to look at your digital preparation, right? What are you preparing digitally? Well, your social media flyer, which could also just be, your flyer for the event, right? Except instead of a PDF, it's a JPEG. All of your branding, all of your flyers, all of your whatever you have with this, it needs to match, right? Your font, your colors, your layout, right? They should see your social media ad. They should see your Facebook ad or your Facebook event that you're going to create, and they should see your flyer and your email, and they should know that it's from the same company and that it's the same event. You got a bunch of different stuff going out and it all looks different. You're not building brand recognition. Make sure you're building recognition. That when somebody sees our logo, or they see your name, or they see the colors, or they see the picture of the home, they recognize that, oh yeah, you know what? I'm a neighbor. They created a Facebook event. I saw that as I was scrolling through. They dropped some flyers. They sent me an email, and it all matches. Wow, they've really done a lot. Does that make a difference, do you think, for a home seller that might be thinking about selling their home? If they see all of this effort from you and then they come to visit you, do you think that they might give you a little bit of extra consideration because they see how well organized you are? Preparation matters, right? Connect all of your social media accounts. This is not necessarily just for your open house. This is also just in general to make your life easier, because I don't know anybody that's ever said that they love sitting down and setting up, social media ads and recording videos and typing social media, stuff, right? So if you can connect all of your social media accounts and you post it in one and it automatically goes to 2 or 3 other social media accounts, doesn't that make your life easier? Doesn't that just make everything a little bit easier? Would it make sense that in this preparation stage, you might sit down and figure out, how do I connect my Facebook and Instagram, because they do? And X, formerly known as Twitter, how do I connect that? Right? How do I post a video on YouTube and have it also play on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and X? Right? I mean, doesn't it make sense to figure these things out and get this stuff organized? Prepare for your own success. And then also, while you're at it, don't forget to put your open house in the MLS. Because maybe you will sell this house during the open house. Maybe it might not be your buyer that comes along, but maybe there's an agent that, on a Saturday afternoon can't show this house that the buyer wants to see, but they send their customer who brings their agent's business card and says, I have an agent, but I'd like to see this house. Right? We're going to cooperate with that agent because we want to sell the house, obviously, because that's how we make a living. So we're going to take that business card and we're going to be, okay, fine. Walk them through, tell them about the house. We're going to be friendly with them. Maybe the agent will call us Monday morning with an offer. Maybe we call the agent Monday morning. Maybe we'll talk about that later. Right? But don't forget to put it in the MLS. I think a lot of people forget to do that. That should send it, if you're on List Hub, should send it to all of the portals, Zillow, Realtor, Trulia, I don't know, whoever else is out there, homes.com. It should put it all out there, but make sure you're there, right? Make sure that your open house is listed on all the major portals, because where do buyers find homes? Usually on the internet. Where are they going? To these websites that are syndicated with your MLS, right? So don't forget your digital preparation. Next thing that we're going to prepare is our assets. You need to get your assets in order. What are you bringing? What items are you or your vendor partners or your agent partner going to bring? Right? Banners. Do you have a banner? If you don't, ask us. We have one in the office. Right? Balloons. Go to the Dollar Tree. They sell balloons, helium balloons, for $1.25 each. Buy 10, 15, 20 bucks worth of balloons and put them on your open house signs. Why would you do that? Because they're moving objects. When people are driving, what are they looking for? Are they looking for objects that aren't moving or objects that are moving? They're looking for objects that are moving. So by putting a balloon on your sign, you're going to draw attention to the sign. Is it possible that you would put your open house sign out and a home buyer that didn't get your email, didn't see your Facebook ad, isn't in your neighborhood to receive the flyer, hasn't received anything, would see that sign and drive in and give you some drive-in traffic, that's 100% possible, right? Balloons make a big difference on your open house signs. And we'll talk about that in a bit. Decorations, what are you bringing? Is it, do you have a theme? Is it going to be a party, right? Like, bring things, decorate the place, make it look nice, make it look presentable, make it look like when somebody pulls up, they know it's an open house and they don't feel weird like, oh, there's nobody here, there's nothing going on. Is this where the open house is? I've been to those. Maybe you have as well, where you're not sure, can I just walk in? Do I have to knock on the door, ring the doorbell? Well, that's not an open house. It's a closed house. Make it look open. What can you do to make it look open? Use your imagination. Use your mind, right? Use that gray matter. Open house signs, yard signs, these are super important. We have rules on open house signs. For the open houses we do, minimum 25 open house signs per open house. If you're putting out 1, 2, 3, 4 open house signs, you're not putting out near enough. There's a lot of major intersections in Broward County. There's a lot of major intersections all around us. Palm Beach County, Miami-Dade County. If you're just posting or dropping out a few open house signs per open house, you're doing yourself a terrible disservice, because you're missing thousands, if not tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of drive-by traffic that potentially could come in to your open house. But what if the city takes your signs? What if you lose a sign? What if something happens? So how much do those little flimsy signs cost? $20, $25? I don't know, $10 each? I don't know. I don't remember. We lose them all the time. Well, they get taken all the time. We don't lose them. They get taken. But if you get one sale, how much is your commission? If you get one buyer from there, how much is your commission? Right? You're focused on the wrong things. You're stepping over dollars to pick up pennies. Don't do that. Put out a bunch of open house signs, every major intersection, driving them into your property from all directions. You should have 4 major roads pretty much surrounding your property. And all 4 major roads should have open house signs driving them to your property. Don't forget your sign-up sheets and QR codes. If people are coming in and you can't capture their information, and don't forget to tell people to sign in or scan the QR code, because if you're not capturing their information, then why are you there? You don't need to be there. You need help on these, reach out. That's what we're here for. Don't stay stuck. We're here to help you. By the way, it's an open house we're doing on November 18th. If you want to come, we'd love to have you. Me and Lorna, my agent partner, and Title Now, our vendor partner, right? There's our open house sign-in sheet. Please sign in. Please sign in. Please sign in. Why do we need this? Name, email, phone number. Are those important if you're in sales? Is it important that we gather that information, or are we just there to socialize? We're working. We might be having a good time, laughing, having fun, building relationships, but that's our business. That's our job. I've already told you, plenty of my past customers became some of my very good friends. Right? But it's all work. It's all work, right? If you can work and play in the same conversation, isn't that a win-win? Right? So you've got all these things. And again, we provide them all for you. It's all in Trello. If you're not on Trello, that's your fault. Because all you have to do, is create your account and invite us, and we're going to upload a bunch of crap into your Trello. It's not crap. That's good crap. But you got to go there and look at it, right? After this training, you're going to find all of this in there. It'll all be there. If you're not a member of our office and you want any of this, let us know. By the end of this, we're going to have a kind of a roadmap for it that we created with this training. Most of these trainings come with something to help you follow through on the plan that we set forth, right? So we prepared, right? So we planned it. We're preparing it. Now we need to proceed with action. Right now, everything's figured out. The who, the what, the when, the where. We know the why, right? So let's talk about the how, right? Let's talk about, how are we going to make this happen? So minimum 1 week before, maximum 3 days before. This needs to be done. So now you're through week 1, week 2. This is why you need 3 weeks. And this is where the rubber hits the road. What are you doing? Well, you have your geographic leads. You're going to call them. You're going to call the geographic leads. What are you going to say? You can invite them to the open house. What's the purpose of that phone call? Is it to get them to come to the open house? No. We don't care if they come to the open house, right? I mean, they can come. We're happy to meet them. But what's the real purpose of that of this phone call? The real purpose of this phone call is to find out if they're planning on buying or selling something themselves, right? Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, this is Joseph Miranda. Just wanted to call and invite you to our open house at this day at this time. We're going to be serving, some light meal with some refreshments. I was just calling to see if you might be able to make it. Oh, you can't make it because it's Saturday afternoon. Yeah, I understand. Everybody's busy on a Saturday afternoon. Okay, no problem. Well, real quick, before I let you go, a lot of times at these open houses, we meet buyers that are looking for a certain type of home in a certain neighborhood, and this home might not be the right one. I'm just curious, in case your home might be a good fit, are you thinking about selling your home at some point in the near future? No, I'm not. How about the next year? Yeah, maybe the next year. Okay, great. If I have a buyer that comes along, would it be okay if maybe I bring them by? No, you can't. I'm not ready right now. Hey, look, no problem. You did mention you're thinking about selling in the next year or so. Could I give you a call back in maybe 7 or 8 months? Sure. Put them in your follow-up plan. Right? Now you just generated a lead. And these are simple calls to make. Why are these simple calls to make? Because it's not an expired where 90 agents have already called them before you got to them. These people will talk to you. Number one, you've got some credibility. You're doing an open house in their neighborhood, right? You're inviting them somewhere for something. These are very nice people. I rarely have received negative feedback on an invite to an open house. Most people are very, very friendly, right? What if they say yes? Should you save their information? Should you write down their name, phone number, email, put them as a yes so that maybe you would remind them later, which we'll talk about later? I think you should when you're calling. Don't forget this valuable information, right? They gave you a yes. All right. You don't need your geographic leads, but you're going to print at least 100 flyers, drop them nearest 100 houses in that radius. Maybe you have less energy. Okay, well, drop them to 20. Maybe you have more energy. Okay, do 200. Maybe you have a teenager. Give them to them and do 500. Right? Like, the more you do, the more you get. If 1 out of every 40 flyers you drop off gets one of those neighbors to show up, then if you drop 80, you're going to get 2. If you drop 120, you'll get 3. Drop 160, you'll get 4. Right? What are your numbers? I don't know. I don't know what those numbers will be, but basic math, law of large numbers, the more you do, the more results you're going to receive. Right? You're going to get more people to show up from 100 flyers than you will from 10 on average. Right? So take those flyers that you made, distribute them. Right? This is your traditional campaign. Right? This is something that pretty much anybody can do. If you're in our office, you have Sierra, you have a dialer. Right? You can dial them through there. All right. What are your digital campaigns? What are the things that you can leverage on? Oh, and don't feel shy to pass your traditional, the phone calls and the flyers on to your agent partners and your vendors as well. Right? Now, what are your digital campaigns? Well, you prepared that email, right? Digital campaign, you're going to begin 2 weeks before and end it 1 week before. Right? You're going to send your blast email out, inviting everybody whose email you have. Any buyers that you have, invite your buyers. Right? Any listings that you're working on that you might know somebody, invite them. Don't forget to make your event and create your Facebook ad on Facebook, right? Now, for our Facebook ads, we use listings to leads. It is a subscription service, but we use this for a lot of things. Listings to leads will get you leads. And you don't, now, a side note on listings to leads, everybody on this call right now, if you're looking for leads, you should be subscribing to that. And you should set a small budget to that every week to do ads. And they'll recommend properties for you that you can advertise. You'll give them some geographic information, and they'll find the properties in the MLS that are okay to advertise. They don't have to be yours. And they'll advertise those, and you can get leads for those listings. I highly recommend everybody sign up for listings to leads. This is how we get our Facebook leads, right? When you get them, should you follow up? Probably. Don't forget to create an event in Facebook. That's not your ad. It's just an event. It's just an event, right? And then don't forget to post your flyer for your open house on all your social media accounts. Why would you not? Right? Let the people that you know, let them know that you're in real estate, right? Your friends, family, co-workers, whoever it is that your friend, people you go to church with, whoever it is, let them know you're in real estate. Why? Because maybe you're just one reminder away from getting a lead from those people, right? This is an easy way for you to promote this. Come get a free lunch. Who doesn't like a free lunch? If you're in real estate and you're hungry on a Saturday afternoon or a Wednesday afternoon or a Thursday afternoon, just go find an open house. You can eat there, right? We know that. There's agents that do it. I remember. See the same agents at some of these open houses. Doesn't matter. They come in, eat the food. Who cares? You don't want to take it all home. Maybe you do. I don't know. Right? So what else are we doing to put this into action? Well, we're going to make sure the property is presentable. Is landscaping important? Probably. The cliche curb appeal. One second. Curb appeal. Does curb appeal matter? If you've shown a house that didn't have curb appeal or that was in bad condition and you're in the car with the buyer, you've probably heard them say, I don't even need to see this one. I know enough just by looking at it. Let's go to the next one. We've all heard it. I know we have. Right? So make sure you don't forget about the landscaper. Call the owner, call the landscaper, do whatever you need to do. Right? Reach out to them 1 week before. Why? Because landscapers are busy. This is Florida. What if it's rainy season? Right? They're mowing lawns. They're mowing the same lawn every week. Make sure they get out there. Hey, look, and get it done 3 days before. Why? So that there's not grass clippings, so that the bushes don't look just freshly trimmed, right? So that everything's had a chance to kind of recover from the trauma of what the lawnmower and the weed whacker do. Start 1 week before, reach out. Make sure they get it done 3 days before. Should you follow up, make sure it's done? Probably. You could drive by if you don't want to call them. Right? But make sure your landscaping is in order. It's important. What else? Setting up. So now you're there. Right? Oh, sorry. Nope. Reminders. Yeah. Don't forget your reminders. Everybody you called, everybody you emailed, everybody who RSVP'd, all your vendor partners, your agent partner, everybody, the owners, the neighbors, remind them. If you want to send them a text, you can send them a text. You want to call them, you can call them. You want to send them an email, send them an email. Email is probably your worst way to remind them. But in either case, doing something's better than doing nothing. I would probably say text them. Right? Your RSVPs, you maybe don't have that many. Even if you got 25, right? Copy and paste, copy and paste, copy and paste, copy and paste. Easy enough to text them. Right? Day of, make sure you get there a little bit early. Right? The day of. You're going to want to get the place set up. Get there early, an hour before, 2 hours before, especially if the owners live there. If the owners live at the property, You can go to the next slide, Irene. If the owners live at the property, you want to make sure that it's clean, right? In your setting up, we're going to talk about the 3 S's. And we've talked about this kind of in the listing, but it matters here as well, right? What's the 3S rule in setting up? Sight, sound, and smell. Sight, is it visually appealing? Is there a bunch of clutter all over the place? Is there stuff that you can just shove into a closet or a drawer or a cabinet? Are there surfaces you can wipe down? Can you make it brighter? Right? Can you open some windows? You know, what can you do to make the place more visually appealing? Right? Make sure it's visually appealing. Sweep the floors if you have to. Vacuum the floors. It doesn't matter. The place better look good. You're there to sell it, right? If you're not going to sell it, you're there to get some leads. Well, the neighbor that comes by and sees that, you know, you're doing an open house at a smelly house or an ugly house, they're not going to be, you know, attracted to you. Sound. Should you have music on? What kind of music? You know, AC/DC? Probably not. You know, put on some jazz. You know, maybe depending on, you know, the time of year, you know, put on some reggae. You know, put on something, you know, create the mood. Right? Music is going to create your mood. It's going to, you know, what mood does this house, you know, does this house project? For example, the open house we're doing this Saturday, it's an Airbnb. It's a pool house. It's a party house. It's a fun house. Right? We're not going to play classical orchestra music there. We're going to play party music. We're going to create that mood. Right? This is how people are going to feel. Right? What's the saying? I forget who says it. I don't know, whatever her name is. Maya Angelou, I think. You know, people might not remember what you said, but they remember how you made them feel. But these people remember how they felt when they walked into that open house. Right? Create a mood. What about the smell? We always talk about the smell. I mean, if it smells like trash in the house, is it appealing? Like, it doesn't matter what it looks like, what mood you're trying to present. If it smells like trash in the house, you kind of just blew the first two because they can't wait to get out of there because it stinks. Right? So what kind of smell? Get a little, you know, I don't know. I'm not a fan of like the plug-in air fresheners. I'm not a fan of candles necessarily. I like those little wax melter things. I think those are nice. You know, you could get you know, like a baked cookie or, you know, bread or I don't know, whatever. Drop some orange peels or something down the garbage disposal, so it's not like, you know, some weird smells not coming out of your garbage disposal. You know, just think about the smell in every room, right? Like every room, make sure it doesn't smell. Turn the fans on low. Don't turn them on high or turn them on medium. That's too aggressive. Just put them on low, right? Nice soft, just moving the air around. Somebody farts in the bedroom and they walk out. Well, the next person that walks in, they ain't got to smell it because the fan circulated it around. Right? So just keep that in mind. All right. Day of. We're still talking about the day of. What are we doing now? Yard signs. We talked about this a little bit. Should be yard sign at every major intersection, on every major road. All 4 coming in. Right? Every corner, every side, everywhere. You should have a yard sign. And at every turn, you should have another sign showing them turn left, turn right, go forward, go here, go there. You got 25 signs, use them. Use them. Because people are all over inside and outside these major intersections. Use your signs. Maybe one of the neighbors that you called that you couldn't get a hold of that's selling their house in the next 3 months sees a yard sign, drives in. Oh, I recognize this house. This was the one I got the email about. This is the one I got the flyer about. Wow, this is pretty cool. Right? Have a driver for your signs, right? You don't want to be the one, you know, parking your car, putting it in park, you know, in some weird parking lot or on the side of the road. You're out, you know, you pop your trunk, throw it in there, right? Have somebody driving you around, right? Have someone driving you around so you can just pop out or they can pop. Maybe you're the driver. I don't know. Whoever's in better shape, right, would be the one doing the signs. The one who's in worse shape is going to be the one driving. You don't want somebody having a heart attack doing this. You do an open house on a hot July afternoon, it could be a lot of work just putting the signs in, you know, and doing that. So, but have a driver. Should be 3 of you, right? You, your agent partner, and your vendor partner. If there's only 2 of you, you could still one drive, one go, right? That's going to dictate where does your first sign go. If there's two drivers and there's one person sitting at the property, your first sign should go in the front yard. Because now anybody that drives by that house right now is going to be bringing it can drive in. If there's just two of you and there's nobody sitting at the house, your last sign should go into the front yard. Right? You have to be strategic about this. There's nobody at the house and you got all these signs driving people in and you're out still putting more signs in and they arrive at the house and there's nobody there. You probably didn't do yourself any good service. That's why you want 3 people. You want 3 people. 2 people putting signs, 1 person sitting there while the other 2 are putting the signs. Right? Maybe of the 3, the person that's in the worst shape should be the one sitting there. Right? They ain't even got to use the gas pedal. They can just sit there and eat the cookies. Right? Probably shouldn't. But, so think about where your sign's going to go. And where does your first sign go? This is a really important detail because you don't want people showing up. You put the first sign in the yard and then work your way out, take yourself out, work your way in. Why do you start from the outside in? So you can catch every turn, right? If you start inside and you work your way out, number 1, you have a sign in the front yard. Maybe there's nobody sitting at the house, but number 2, you're working your way out. You're kind of working backwards. What's the natural path into your home or into the open house? Right? They're on the corner of Andrews and Sunrise. Okay. Well, we gotta wind them in, right, to get them here. Right now, what's your next major intersection? Wind them in. Next major intersection. Wind them in. Next major intersection. Count your signs. Right? After you put all your signs out, and that's not the time to think, how many signs did I just put out? Why do you want to count your signs? So that when you go to pick them up, you know that you got them all. True story. One day we did an open house and it was super rainy out, maybe similar to the weather we've had recently here. And we forgot a couple of signs. And about 2 weeks later, I was driving by on one of the roads and I saw one of my open house signs. It was still sitting there. So luckily I got that sign back, right? But it just sat there, literally sitting there. I don't know how many people probably turned there. But I didn't count my signs. I didn't really know how many. I just happened to be driving by and I was like, whoa, there's an open house sign. I think that was mine from when we did it 2 weeks ago. So count your signs so you know how many you end with. All right, try to remember where you put them. There's 2 people, 1 driver, 1 person placing the signs. Should, between the 2 of you, be able to remember that, I think. Right? Signs are really important, guys. That's where you get all your drive-by traffic. Like I say, thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. I don't know how many people drive by depending on what intersections you're at. There's a lot of drive-by traffic. Don't forget to put your balloons on the big ones. Right? They cost you $1.25 at the Dollar Tree. How many are you going to get? I don't know, 10? I don't care. Right? But put them up, put the balloons on your major intersections. Put a bunch of balloons at the house itself so people don't drive by, can't figure out where it's at. Oh, and don't forget your open house rider that goes on your for sale sign. Right? Like we're here. This is our marketing. This is our promotion day. Right? Everybody should know. This is a big party. This is a mega open house. So it takes mega preparation. But you should get a mega outcome. Right? If 1 or 2 people show up, you might have missed a step. Right? You should have a big turnout from these. When we do our mega open houses and we plan them right, we get a big turnout. Make sure everybody's doing what they're supposed to do. Make sure everything gets done by the day. Right? Day or 2 before. Make sure you send your reminders out. It's a lot of work. 3 weeks. You got 3 weeks to do it. Right? All right. You did your open house. You got all your signs out. You did everything. Right? So this is your fourth P. Your post open house. You're not done. Right? You're not done. Right? Number 1, make sure you leave it better than you found it. If you stuffed all of your homeowner's crap in the drawers and in the closets, you probably need to take it back out so that they don't call you up later. Where's this at? Right? Clean it up, sweep it up, wipe the surfaces down, lock it up, turn the AC back where it was, close the blinds. right? Do those things. Oh, one step we did forget. This is going to go back to probably the day of or the day before. If it's owner occupied, make sure that the owners remove all of their valuables from the property. You know, if they have jewelry, if they have guns, if they have cash, whatever it is, anything that's going to grow legs and walk away needs to be secured. Because if you've got, 4, 5, 6 different parties in there at once, so it should be 4 S's maybe instead of 3 S's. The 4th S will be security. If you have, a bunch of people that, you can't keep up with them all. If they open a jewelry box, and they see a bunch of gold, what do you think is going to happen? You're not dealing with, you don't know who you're dealing with. So make sure that you protect your customers' stuff, right? Let them know all your valuables, put it in the trunk, take it with you. Do it on the showings, right? Like during the show, when they're showing, make sure that you're protecting your people's stuff, right? So then they can bring it back, right? Closing time, you've cleaned it, you've mopped it, you've turned the AC down, you've locked the house up, closed the windows, you've done all those things, right? Post open house, you're not done yet. You're not done yet. What do? Well, next day or next business day, start reaching out to people. Who are you reaching out to? Well, you're going to let the people know that said that they were going to come and didn't come. Let them know what they missed, right? The no call, no shows. What'd you miss? Hey, sorry you couldn't make it. Maybe you took some pictures on your phone while you were there. Maybe you took those pictures and posted them on the on your social media to show people, wow, we had 40 people show up to this open house. Right? Does that give you some credibility? Probably. Right? Everybody that attended is going to get a different email. Thanks for showing up. Really appreciated it. Hope whatever. What's your message? What's the goal? What's the goal of this open house? Well, it was to get customers. So what would you say to them to turn them into one of your customers? Right? You could call them. And are you going to keep in touch with them, long term? Right? Everything else we just talked about is step 1 of your 20%, right? Your Pareto principle, the 20% that leads to 80% of your results. That's your lead generation. This is the next and most important step, lead follow-up. Because why did you do this if you're not going to keep in touch with the people there? Did they sign a listing agreement on the spot? Probably not. Did they sign a buyer agency agreement with you on the spot? Probably not. You have to follow up with them, right? Hey, you said you were looking to sell in the next 6 months. Can I come by now? We'll take a look at your house and kind of get you started on the plan, because sometimes it takes some planning and preparation just to get a house ready to sell. Some minor repairs, some touch up, lipstick on a pig, whatever it is. But you need to have a long-term follow-up plan. Put them in your CRM. Make sure you're reaching out. Because otherwise, why'd you do it? Right? What do we miss? Anybody have anything that I didn't go over? Anything I didn't discuss? Anything to add to what I